Hello and welcome back to Ostriv. Welcome back. Here we are, back again in Ostriv, in a new town. I had to start over because I made a few mistakes. I can't really remember what they were, other than that I got a pig pen or pigsty, and that considerably drained all my food. And I kind of went for a organic flow in the first city. That kind of hindered me. So what I did in the second one was I went for a more grid-based design, but with an organic flow to it. So you can see some of these buildings aren't all squared away, but they fit the theme. That's the whole goal. So what did I do? Well, I have the same exact town, basically the same region, but I went and I did a bunch of things differently. I built a bridge over here so that we could get access to a bunch of different resources, and I'm going to go over this part of the town first, then I'll go over this half, and then we'll go over the town center. And then I'll probably expand a little bit, do the final town. I have to actually get these. I'd really like to get some row houses, and I could get that going as soon as I get more bricks, but that's just going to be a long time coming, so I'm going to have to kind of keep cutting these trees down. And hopefully I can get there, but ideally I'd like to show you guys like what I'd call the beginning. We have 117 people, the middle at like 250, and then like late game probably 500. I think you could probably get 500. I don't know how many people fit in this town or in this game before it starts to smoke, but it seems to be running fairly well. Like I said, this game is optimized very well, just doesn't run very well with OBS all the time. Seems to run pretty well right now, but we'll see. Here we are, though. We're on the other side of town. This is our forestry. I usually have two guys working here, and they cut these trees down. I created this little forestry area, a reforestation area, so that they could get some access to trees, because there's no trees over here, but they always need charcoal. So we have that, and we have this, so they can get firewood, bark, all the other things they need for this area. We have a little cart parking lot. We have some storage for limestone. We have our stone mining camp. We have a lime kiln, and we have the lime works. So I needed that for tanning. If you remember in the last episode, I needed to get leather, and when I saw the leather screen, I kind of lost my mind, and I was like, holy crap, that's too much. And I realized that my city design, everything, the organization, the layout needed to be redone. So I figured it'd be easier just to restart. And we have done that. And you can see I have a carpenter over here to keep these carts up and running. We have a little fishing dock, warehouse, and then the clay pit and thatchery just to keep this area up and running, as well as a platform. So what happens is this gentleman goes and mines limestone. We have 10,000 here, and we have excess space for the limestone to go there if we can get laborers to grab it. Then they fill this up. Luckily we have some quicklime already. It's kind of like a charcoal pit, but it's much larger, and it takes a lot longer. So they take all of the the limestone and charcoal, they keep filling it up in layers, and then they light it on fire, they burn it, and then you get quicklime. Then they take that quicklime, they mix it with some water, and you get lime. That lime is then used on the tanner. The tannery is, like I said, he's a little bit difficult, and I'll get into him in a minute. So this half of the town specifically designed for the limestone production. This included. It's all part of it. I also think I need a couple more wells. I was reading that you want to have like a well for every 5 houses that you get. So why is it not letting me? There you go. It wasn't letting me spin it. Oh, it was just spinning so small that I couldn't even notice. I'm gonna put these wells right in the middle here. I'm gonna flip it around though. Like that. Like so. And plop another well kind of over here. Oh, actually, it's a little too tight for them to put that well in there. So we'll put the other well kind of on this side. Like so. There we go. And then we're going to go to this side of town. So this is the other half of town where we get all of our stone and our iron ore. So we have the iron ore mine. This man, Dimitro, he works here. He grabs the iron and we store it in this excess storage bin if this is full. And then we have the warehouse storing excess iron ore, wood, and firewood. Then we have the forester with the same kind of plan as the last guy. He grows his trees nearby, cuts them down, keeps this stocked so that this area has excess wood. You need to keep lots of wood so that they can keep digging in the mine. Then we have a stone mining camp right next to it so that they can grab stone. I usually have a couple guys work this once in a while, fill it up, and then they go away, and they just have to walk right here to grab that stone, so it's very close. We have the few guys who live over here. 3 houses for now. I'll probably add a couple more little houses along the way, but we have 2 guys who live over here as well, and then a farm. So this is the new farm. Ideally, once we get more labor, more population, I can start to get this populated, but I can't even fill up my plain farm, my basic farm over here. So I'm not gonna go for that. You can see we have a lot of laborers that we need for these big old farms, and we can't sustain it. So onto this portion of the city. I'm trying to break it down in the most organic way possible because it is a pretty substantial town. It's got everything really for the most part. It's not complete, but there's a lot of stuff that I have. We have the ashery. So ashery here makes ash from bark. They take the ash, they put it in a bucket, and they create lye, and that lye then gets cooked, I think, and turned into potash, or maybe left out to dry. I don't know how that works, but they make potash out of it. So these ashery people here, they are currently just making lye because lye is used in soap works. So we have tallow being made from our animals when they're slaughtered, and I'll get to the animals in a minute. When the animals get slaughtered, the tallow gets brought over here. They mix it with some lye, they cook it up, and they make some soap. Soap gets brought to the market, and the people get soap, which boosts their overall happiness as well as their hygiene, I believe. There's a lot of things like hidden, secret little details about these characters. So they have health and all of this stuff. So, for example, I built a bunch of smoke buildings right in their housing. They would get sick and die quicker. But some of my characters have lived. I think a guy lived to 94 years old. Like they can live a long ass time. And you can see they have clothes quality, warm clothes quality, and shoes quality. So we don't have enough warm clothes. That's something I'm working on. And we have a stable. We have a little wagon shed. So these are all things that I didn't have in the other town. I didn't get to show you guys, or at least I don't think I did. The stable here basically keeps our 4 horses. These are the breeding horses. He's probably going to get moved over to be a draft horse. And we have 2 wagons, sorry, and 2 guys working the wagons. They need a worker each wagon, so technically if I want to use these wagons, I have to have a guy each one. And they carry large quantities of things to and from different job sites. Then we have the salt works. This gentleman here, he has 2 oxen, and I usually let them go until they're about 6 or 7 years old, and then I slaughter them. And I replace them with some fresh ox. I might purchase them. Usually I'll raise them myself. And my bartering is particularly good. I don't trade with these guys, the ones on the rivers yet, but eventually I will. We have our other fishing dock and our boatyard, our clay pit, thatcher, and our primary school, which I didn't have in the other town. This is a really fun one. So from what I'm understanding, the primary school doesn't really give them a boost to their job skills or anything like that. It just gives them the ability to be managers or counselors. So if you wanted to expand your city, you really need to educate your people, and then you could take what is your educated people, send them to a new town hall, kind of build another town over here. And you'd have to move a couple families probably, but wouldn't be too challenging. Not the hardest thing in the world. Then we have the clothing row, as I like to call it. This is a smithy. Smithy doesn't really fit in with them, but he is there nonetheless. And there's the tailor, the weaver, and then the shoemaker. From what I saw, I was reading a guide just to get a little bit of knowledge on certain things, but nothing too particular. Most of Ostriv doesn't really have any good guides. But this, they said that should probably be closer to where the tanner is. So I'm probably going to place the shoemaker right over here by the saddlery, because we have a saddle, and we're going to get to the good stuff here. This is the housing row. We have our forester and the warehouse, the spare warehouses for 1,000 wood and 1,000 firewood. And then we have our little markets, some more charcoalers here. All of these houses, some of our warehouses, extra warehouses. So this is the fabrics and clothing warehouse, as well as kind of a mix of iron, nails, and parts. And then probably could do some horseshoes, actually, because we don't have, I don't think we're making horseshoes. I'm assuming that the horseshoes are necessary to keep the horses fit. Yeah, horseshoe conditions here. Yep. You click on the wagon itself and you can see that. I don't know how I accidentally clicked it. Oh, there we go. You can see that that gives you the condition, the tack, and the horseshoes. So it'll last us a couple years. We have to make a few though. We get to the good stuff, the meat and the potatoes. These are the original houses, by the way. These 12 houses. I built them like this so that they had some food to survive. But some of these families actually came with like 6 to 7 people each, like these guys. Their grandpa and their grandma, and all these houses had too many people. They couldn't really sustain themselves. So there was quite a bit of struggles early on. We have our sheep farm though. We have 12 currently. Any sheep that are born after that, they're raised up, and the oldest are killed. So these female sheep are going to get killed, and it never will slaughter your last ram or last male. So for example, like this guy, they won't slaughter him. They'll always keep a male. So we have additional males to keep the population going. We have the dairy here, tucked in here nicely. So they're taking the sheep milk, I guess, and then they're also taking the cow milk and they're putting it in here, and they're making cheese and butter. Matter of fact, I should probably set that to like 90. Because the problem with the dairy and these other types of buildings is that when they're producing, they tend to go for the first one there. You see butter. And until they get the max 500, which is not very likely, they'll never produce cheese or the smetana. Which I think I have... Yeah, I have this wrong. I always select the wrong one. I don't know why I mix them up. There we go, smetana. It's like a cottage cheese, it looks like. And then we have our little warehouse here for the tanner. So this is the tanner zone. All of that stuff that I had going basically was to support this building. I had to get lime, salt, bark, and then water, which is easy. And then the leather and the sheep hides, of course, from the animals being produced. So we have our cows here. We have 12 currently, and there's a limit of 15. I don't know why. I thought I had more. I think I may have personally slaughtered a few cows or done something with them. But usually I have a good number of animals, and they're slaughtered at the slaughterhouse here. They take the cow hides, they bring them over here, and they prepare them in batches of 500 with lime, salt, and bark, as well as some water. And then you get a batch of leather, or you get sheep hides, tanned sheepskin. Currently trying to get enough tanned sheepskin so that we can produce enough warm clothing. We need warm clothing, and you need sheepskin for the warm clothes, which we don't have. So we need to get that. And we have our salary here, which produces horse tack using leather, metal parts, and that's it. Pretty simple building. And then we have our chicken coop. Little chicken coop in here. They all died at one point. I actually lost all of my chickens and then had to come back. But luckily I had all of these other animals to kind of survive. And I had plenty of money. And you can see we have our farm. We have a plow with the cows attached, our oxen attached. And we have a orchard. And then the last but not least, we have our church district kind of mixed in with the trading dock, boatyard, and the smeltery. Whew! Oh wait, I missed the fulling mill. Like I said, this is just a ton of stuff. The fulling mill takes wool and they turn it into broadcloth, and then you need to take the sheep's skin, like the extra skin that they have here, the sheep's hide, and you have to turn it into sheep skin. And then you take that with the broadcloth and you bring it over to the tailor, and then you make warm clothes, which is so difficult. Like, this game has some really intricate levels of detail, and that's why I wanted to do the grid-based city, because it's easier to kind of organize yourself in the grid city style, especially if you're trying to see everything. And ideally I want to see that, so we have that going. And my next steps for the town are just to keep producing more and more food. This farm is producing hemp this year, but next year we're going to be producing tons and tons of wheat, and I need to make sure that I have enough population to support that. Kind of a upwards battle of needing more food, needing more population, needing more food, more population, and eventually we'll be okay. And what I keep doing is I keep these guys poor as hell. They are living on the cusp of poverty. They all have like under 10 income themselves, or wealth. And I keep them floating by giving them each 15 sometimes. Here, like that, I'll give them 10. Keep them floating. I don't know, I'll give them money at the same time whenever I see that little coin symbol, so that they can go to the market. Like this guy here, I don't know what his problem is. There's all kinds of stuff in the market. Flour, apples, potatoes. We've got the shoes, the cloths. The clothes. I said cloths. The clothes. We have everything. Everything that they could need. And I try to keep these areas, they're not as productive for their market stalls, because ladies are actually very hard to come by in this society. We have plenty of men. We have 45 men. And I find that I usually have enough men to do any job. There's always a spare guy to do a job, and I could probably click this and there'll be a guy to jump on this job. But most of them are currently being drafted here. This is Orius Masna. What are you doing? I didn't know that the babies could... Maybe she can do the hemp. Oh wait, no. She just looks really, really young. She's 15 years old though. It's always interesting too to look at their faces. So like this guy Kirilo, he's 78 years old. He's been here since he was a young man. He's been here for a long time. Wait, this is a different Kirilo. He just arrived. I lied. There's a different Kirilo that looks similar to him though. They all look very similar, but you can see, like, yeah, she's 78 years old. Her features are starting to fade, and a lot of our original founding members, they lay resting here. Some of them died very young too, like this poor person died at 12 years old. I think she died at... She was a whopper. Jesus, she died at 100 almost. Jeez, she lived in 1600s, and then this person died at 14. And you can see their personal logs. So they arrived, they lived here for 9 years, and they died. And then this guy here, he arrived, he started working, he stopped working, he started working, and he died. So he only lived 1 year, his first year. He was an old man though. He lived to be quite an old man, Boris Shamray. And you can see, I think you could find his family, Boris Shamray. He's the Shamray family. So you can check, he's one of the originals, I think. Yeah, here he is. That's his father, I think, Boris and Anatoly. I was talking to my girlfriend about this game. It's just so cool because she was like, "Oh, is it like a family simulator?" And I was like, "Technically, yeah. There's one of these families. Yeah, there's a cousin. There's cousins, so they're distant relatives." And something that oh my god, I didn't even realize. That's cute. So this is Lydia Purby. This is a big family, the Mashachuk family. So Harilo, this is the Harilo that I was talking about. He's been here for a long time. I could check his personal log. He's been here since September or February 1725. He's been working at the ore mine for a long time. But there's a lot of people who have that name. So he's probably one of 2 guys that have that name. But there's just so much to go on. Like these people, yeah, you can see Nestor. That's his cousin or her cousin, and this is her family side. And they'll get married. So eventually, like when they grow up, like Volya here and this guy, they'll grow up, get married to someone else, and then they create these like unique family ties. And unfortunately, I have them extremely poor right now because I prefer them to be poor than wealthy. Because when they accumulate money, you can't really obtain it back, because it usually just kind of gets juggled around in the family unless everyone in their family dies. Then you get the money back. So it's kind of a difficult one. I'd rather keep them poor. But yeah, we're doing phenomenal. I'm really enjoying Ostriv so much, and I've got some other games coming. I've got some Workers and Resources, Soviet Republic, I think it's called. I forget the full name. It's got a long name, but I've played a decent bit of it. I'm not sure if I want to do a full realistic run of it, because that game makes this game look like a fucking child's game comparatively. It is so complex. There's so much you have to organize and deal with between electricity and fuel and production and all this different stuff. But I think I'm going to give it a whirl. And we also have a couple other Dice and Sphere program and a few other cool games to play. Don't expect Ostriv to go anywhere though, because I have a lot more to do. Still got to cut this whole forest down and expand and make an actual town, and hopefully be able to show you guys what I come up with. Anyways, thank you all for watching these short little videos, these fun little gameplay exhibitions, or whatever you want to call them. My town showcases. Y'all are lovely, and I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.